All right, I'll go over what we did in lecture. I know we have a few people that did not get to see that. So I'm in Unity. I'm going to create a new project. It's going to be 3D. I'm going to go ahead and add my package because I have already downloaded the Vuforia samples. I can do that. And then I can create my project. And Unity will open up. I also have my AR marker cards as well that I'll be using. So as you go through and build this project and test it, you'll need to have your cards with you as well. And now the project is simply building itself. And getting ready to open. And then once it does, we'll go through the build settings and everything and get that set up as needed. And just waiting for this to finish. I think the astronaut is the last thing to import. And once that's done and the project opens up, we will set up our build settings. So there's our Unity project. I'm going to go ahead and create a new scene. I'm going to go ahead and save that scene. Be my AR level. In that scene, I will go ahead and delete the main camera. I will add a Vuforia AR camera. And that'll just get our scene set up. Then I can jump into my build settings. I'll have all these Vuforia scenes in there. I'm just going to select those, hit delete. Add my open scene, which is my AR level. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my Android platform. And then once that happens, I will switch over to the player settings and get those as well, setting my display mode to landscape left, and putting in my AR or my bundle identifier, and then making sure that under the XR settings that Vuforia is indeed checked and is the option. And then what we did in this lecture was we put two objects out in the scene and then used the two markers to bring those objects up, and then we started with communication between the objects and updating UI canvases on each of the objects. So I'm going to jump over to player settings. Under my default orientation, landscape left works for the Kindle Fire. Yours may be different. Under my other settings, I need to go ahead and put in my package name, my identifier. And then down under XR settings, I just want to make sure that the Vuforia augmented reality is set as well. I'm going to go ahead and hit Command S to save. Then I'm going to create a Vuforia image target. Now we went ahead and scaled that up quite a bit, and the reason I scaled it up quite a bit was I wanted, when we put our canvases in there, I wanted our canvases to be in a size that was something we could work with. We can always scale these objects back down, but I put that out there as a size of 500, so I think it gave our canvases that we're going to make somewhere of a width of 300 and a height of 150, something rather than really, really small numbers. So I've got the image target out there for the astronaut. Under sample resources, augmentation assets, we have models, we have the astronaut. I'm going to left click, drag the astronaut into the image target. Right now the astronaut does not have the textures. So under materials, there's my astronaut texture, and I just need to click to see where it needs to go. Right there on my astronaut, I'm going to left click and drag. Now, it may be a little difficult to see, so I'm going to create a directional light. And there's my directional light. And then we can rotate that to light our scene how we want. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a second image target. So I'll go create, Vuforia image. Now I'll move that image over. Also need to scale it up. I will change from the astronaut to the drone image. And if I need to, I'll scale it up again. Sometimes it changes once you change to a new image. And here is my drone model. And for the material, there's that drone geo for geometry. I can just drag that on there, and that gets all the texture on there that we need. So that has our two objects, our two cards, and our two objects there in the scene. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a canvas. Now this canvas will be world space. And as I said before, I had made these objects rather large. So they give us some decent units to work with. Again, 300 by 160. And in that canvas, I will create some UI text. And it's going to say astronaut. Again, set the overflow. Choose a color I want to use. Bring the font size up. I can move it into place, and there we see our canvas needs to be rotated around the Y. 180 degrees. And that's going to be my name. And then I'll duplicate it, and this is going to be my health. I may take that down in size just a little bit. And now that canvas is going to be a part of the astronaut image target. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it and make this canvas a part of the image target for the drone. Save that. And then at this point, make sure everything is inside my two targets. Each one has a model and a canvas. Then I'll go ahead and build this out. First time will be a little bit longer. We're building it over to the Kindle Fire. If we get any errors, we'll need to figure out what's going on. I think in class we've got everybody's device building from the Mac, and I know most people have it building at home on their Windows devices as well. So getting close, building the project out, about to be deploying the player. Generating the assets and signing. And now moving the APK over to the device. Now I'm rotating my cards, had both the drone and the astronaut facing away. And we can see there's our drone and there's our astronaut. Need to probably get a better angle on the astronaut card. But they both have their canvases, which is what we need, which is a good start. And now the next thing we will do is move into our code. Go ahead and create that folder for scripts and also a folder for scene, since I made a scene there. And then I will create my C# script, and we call this object script. This is going to go on both objects in the scene. Now we are going to talk to the text that we have out there on the screen, so we need to include or use our Unity Engine.ui. And then our regular variables that we used. We have some variables for health and to link to the on-screen text. We're also going to link to the other object script. So here we declare a public data type of object script. It is the same name as this class itself. And then the name of the variable used is other player. We did not do anything in the start. Well, we looked at just so we could see if this was working. In our start, we went ahead and so when the game starts, my text dot text equals health and my health, and when the game starts, health equals 100. So I'll save this. And then we created a couple of custom methods allows the object to take damage. And requires a passed integer parameter. So public void take damage, it's requiring an integer. The variable name for that integer is amount. When that runs, we subtract the amount passed in from the current health. And then we update the text. So this will be called when either the player, the astronaut, or the drone needs to take damage. We also have another custom method so it deals damage to the other player, generates random damage amount, and then calls the other player's take damage method. Public void deal damage. Random amount of damage from 1 to 10. Remember, this is a minimum value, and then the maximum value has to be 1 above what you actually want. So then this calls the other player's take damage script and passes it the amount of damage. So I'm going to minimize that. This object script is going to go both on the astronaut and on the drone. You will see that the drone has a max health of 100. It needs its texture. So I'm going to open up its canvas and I'm going to drag in its health. And then the other player needs to be the astronaut. So I'm going to take the astronaut and drag it in there. Now I'm going to select the astronaut. You can see it too needs its health text. So I'm going to drag it in there. And then I'm going to take the drone and drag it in for the other player. So those are linked up. Now, I'm going to create a common canvas. This is going to be a canvas that is attached to the AR camera. Outside of either image target, create UI canvas. Inside of this canvas, I'm going to put 2 buttons. Again, this is a third separate canvas. And this is going to say player attack. And I'll go ahead and name this button player. And then I can duplicate it, move it to the far side of the screen. And this will be my drone attack. Now, each one of these I'm going to go ahead and add an event trigger. And I'm going to add an on down, pointer down. I'm going to add a new actual event. This is the player for the button, so I'm going to take the astronaut, since I'm considering it the player, drag it into the object link there, and then I should be able to find the player, the astronaut's other script, and I should be able to call deal damage. Now deal damage, remember, will generate random damage and then call the take damage script on the drone. I will do the same thing for my drone. I will add an event trigger. I will actually add an event. I will add an event type, pointer down. I will add a new event trigger. I will link to the drone object. The drone object will look at the scripts on it, and it will call deal damage. So let's build this. And what we're hoping that happens is we can see both of the objects. We can click on the buttons, and when I click on the astronaut player attack, the drone's health goes down. When I click on the drone attack button, the astronaut or the player's health goes down. kind of moving the cards around on the table. So we should have both of our objects out there. You'll see my drone attacks, and I probably need to move my cards around, but you will see that the drone attacks and the player's health goes down. You will see that the player attacks and the drone's health goes down. So our code is working as it needs to. Every time the drone attacks, the player loses health. Every time the player attacks, the drone loses health as it needs to, which is what we need. So that's just a basic example of getting the two objects out there on the screen. We now have these objects talking between one another and able to actually directly communicate, call scripts on one another, and have things happen. And that's the basis of your lab, asking you to take that and modify it just a little bit. And then you can take this information and use it to complete the lab as you need.